Epic Larry Brock shuts down ex-police chief Peter Soly in question period for the Emergency Act. You said you didn't like the word permission, however they were authorized to park there. Here's the clip.
We'll move to second round. Mr. Brock? 4 minutes, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Mr. Soly. I too want to thank you for your decades of policing domestically and your tours of service internationally. I understand as well that an operational plan in terms of the ultimate conclusion to this protest is not something new to you. In fact, you've been involved in operational plans, again, for decades in other protests outside of Ottawa. Fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And you had your service, as well as the City of Ottawa, had weeks to prepare and discuss a strategy with the organizers of the protest as to where the staging would take place. And to that end, and quite frankly, I appreciate your frankness in answering that affirmatively when the question was posed to you by my colleague, Mr. Motz, unlike Acting Chief Bell, who had some difficulty getting to the truth of that when he testified on May 17th, 2022. Leaving that aside, during the protest, I was able to go on the OPS website and I found a 7-page document that indicated in very bright letters, Ottawa Police, Ottawa Truck Convoy. It lists details as to protesters traveling eastbound on Highway 417, 416, eastbound on Highway 417. There was descriptions about tractors with no trailers, tractors with open and empty trailers, trucks with box trailers. There was conversation and details about staging areas. Very brightly worded document, and it set out very, very clearly as to where these protesters were to set up shop and where their supplies ultimately would be. And in fact, there was a very detailed description as to how many tractor trailers could actually park on Wellington Street. You'd agree with me? This
Sure.
document does exist. Now, one of the areas that I want to confirm with you is the government has not shared that detail with Parliament, certainly has not shared that detail with Canadians, because there is a sense that was out there that this was something that was controlled by the organizers, that they took those steps without consultation with your service and the City of Ottawa to park. That's not true, correct?
I'm sorry, I may have missed a question in there. Sorry, sir.
The question is the narrative from the Prime Minister that was not shared with the government, that there was an actual plan, an authorization. You didn't want to use the word permission, but an authorization to park their vehicles in specific locations in the parliamentary precinct.
I won't presume to speak for any other organization, including the Office of the Prime Minister, but as a standard practice, police liaison teams will negotiate with any demonstrator coming into this city for any reason to try to align that as much as possible to good public safety outcomes using best practices.
Thank you. Mr. Soly, the Prime Minister described the protesters as, quote, a fringe minority who held, quote, unacceptable views. They were racists. They were misogynists. That divisive rhetoric was shared numerous times in the House, in the press, shared by members of the government. What impact did incendiary rhetoric like this have on your ability to enforce the law during the convoy protests?
Can you briefly answer that, Mr. Soly? Very briefly.
We were focused on providing a safe outcome for what turned out to be an unprecedented paradigm-shifting event. There were so many impacts that happened, good and bad. I couldn't begin to list them for you, sir. I apologize.